Hey guys, Tony Corpin here. We're live at the TSD conference in Frisco, Texas. We're here for the next couple of days to get the ultimate in special needs training and learning. Here with me today is Laura Greene-Halley. She has been with First Student 22 years through a pathway. You've been in school transportation for a very long time. You grew up like on the bus. Your family's been in the school bus industry. How amazing. We're so glad you're here with us today.
Thank you, Tony. Always excited to be at TSD.
Yeah, so with First Student Services, can you explain to me what that is?
Yeah, so we created a student services division at First Student to ensure that students are getting the support they need during the ride to school. So you know, Tony, you've been around transportation a long time too, that there's that expression that the school bus is the extension of the classroom. In fact, I've heard it here probably half a dozen times already today. But what does that really mean, right? For years, it's been applied in terms of like the rules and regulations that apply in and around school buildings and school grounds to the school bus. But I would argue that in transportation, very rarely is the classroom extended out to the school bus. And students need those same interventions and accommodations as they get in the classroom during their rides to and from school so that they can integrate into those precious education minutes as easily as possible. And so we've brought together a team of professionals and created a student services division that can provide that support for our customers and provide that continuum of services for our students.
So with student services still being newer to the school transportation industry, how do you see it developing, growing dynamically under the First Student umbrella?
Yeah, so it's been growing actually the last couple of years inside of First Student, and it's really through our collaborative relationships with our customers where we're executing our programs that we're seeing how we can really extend that classroom onto the school bus by looking at the systems that are in place in the schools and applying them onto the school bus. You know, there's this, when you're not in transportation, and it makes me actually laugh because I think about Dr. Susan King, who chairs our National Advisory Committee for our Student Services Division at First. And so Dr. King is a special ed teacher, by trade. She spent about 10 years in the classroom, and she'd never worked with transportation professionals before. And after she worked with us for about a month or two, she turned to us one day in her Southern accent, I'll never forget it, and she said, "Y'all, you do some magic here. I never thought about how those kids show up. I just opened my classroom door and there they were." Right? So for those of us in transportation, that's pretty funny because we know it's not magic, right? We all put a lot of really hard work and dedication into getting those kids to school. So as we're collaborating with our partners, we're seeing more and more about how those programs can be applied and how it's positively impacting students. They're coming to school, some of the most challenging students to transport in districts, integrating into their school day. And it's pretty exciting.
So Laura, how do you implement student services in transportation?
So we implement student services through our program called First Serves. And First Serves is a collaborative, customizable training and development program that brings together all of the stakeholders that help students be successful during the day. So we collaborate with transportation teams, special education teams, families and caregivers, and family agencies so that all the pieces of the puzzle come together to support the student during the school day.
So Laura, tell me a little more about the First Serves program and kind of what to expect.
Yeah, so when we partner with a district, it really starts with collaboration. You've heard me say that word a few times here. That's my favorite word in student services because we collaborate and we come together. And the first thing we do is we have a meeting. And during that meeting with the transportation teams and the special education teams, we ask questions to find out what's going well in transportation now, because really most of the time things go really well. We have an outstanding industry and our folks are so dedicated. So what are we doing well and what can we double down on, right? So let's take our successes and build on them. Additionally, and this is where we have the special education teams in from the school district, what's going well in the schools? What programs do they have in place that we can extend out into the ride to and from school? Additionally, in addition to the successes, we look at what the needs are. So we'll ask them, like, what do you wish was happening? Or what are things that you've always wanted to do that you haven't been able to? And then we'll work with them to develop a plan. And this plan is very similar to an IEP for students. And it's just one of the ways that we look to kind of emulate what's happening in the school system. And that plan will include goals that'll help meet those needs that they've identified, target dates, activities, and most importantly, how will we measure success? Because it's one thing to undergo activities and have goals, but unless you're looking at them to make sure that you're meeting the goals, you can kind of just run yourself in circles. And one of the things that we've heard from the customers that we're working with currently is that they're achieving things that they've always wanted to do, but it's been a capacity issue for them, right? Transportation directors, special education professionals in the schools, they are so bogged down and they have so many competing demands that the desire to do it and the ability to do it don't align. So with the First Serves program, we have dedicated program managers. We've really curated quite a team that helps execute this program. And it's a combination of transportation professionals, longtime transportation professionals, former special ed directors, special education teachers, and many of us on that group also have had children and grandchildren that had special needs and have gone through the IEP process through their entire education career. So we have a really great 360 view of all of the stakeholders that helps us work with our customers to develop these programs. And these program managers will do just that. They'll facilitate the meetings, they'll build the programs, and most importantly, they'll do progress monitoring. Because just like a student, you don't want to wait until the IEP meeting in the spring to see if they're working towards their goals, right? You want to have benchmarks along the way. So it keeps the program really robust and successful.
Sounds like there's so many people involved in the student success of that program.
Yeah, it's really great. You know, in addition, I mentioned our National Advisory Board earlier, and that's a team of, we've had clinical psychologists, former special education directors, professors who teach special education teachers how to do that, leaders in human resources and working with urban youths, high-risk youths. So it's quite a team. It's really exciting work after all these years in transportation to be so dedicated to the students' success, beyond the physical safety is very exciting.
So can you talk to me about next steps? How does someone get involved with First Serves?
Yeah, so it's I'm super excited about our Student Services Division and First Serves, but it's even more exciting right now because historically, we've only offered the First Serves program to school districts that contract with us for home to school. And we've really now a few years in seeing a lot of success in terms of a reduction in negative behaviors on the bus. In fact, in our operations and our customers that are running the First Serves program, we've realized a 27% reduction in negative behaviors. So think about that for a minute, Tony. 27% is a big number, right? That's like more than a quarter of the negative behaviors. So when you think about how that impacts those students integrating into the classroom and how it impacts our transportation teams and having to address all of those negative behaviors, those are some big wins. And we're only kind of just getting started with that. Additionally, I don't know if you've heard, but we have a driver shortage in transportation.
I have heard.
For the last couple of years, right? Even pre-COVID, we had that, and it's even worse now. And there are districts who don't have school days because they don't have people to drive buses. And so we're seeing increased retention numbers in our drivers, significant increase. And we've interviewed drivers that do exit their jobs. And the number one reason they leave is because of student behavior. And so empowering transportation teams and drivers to support students in a way that they've never done before is massive. And we want to share that. And we want to impact as many students as we can at First Student positively. So we don't want to limit that to just our home to school customers. So now we can work with districts that do their own transportation and help them realize those same gains and help them plan for success.
Sounds like a really powerful program. How does someone learn more about it? Where do they go?
Yeah, so they can email us at services@firststudentinc.com, and then myself or someone else from the team will reach back out to them to see how we can help.
So that's services@firststudentinc.com?
Correct.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you, Tony.
It's so great having you.
Such a pleasure. Thanks so much.